Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. First, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year for 2017, and this is my first video of the year. So today I'm going to be showing you a new stamp set, which is Octopi My Heart from Lawn Fawn. So this is the cute little stamp set, and it's one of their Valentine releases, and it's adorable. And I love octopus anyway, and it comes with little bubbles and little hearts, and I just think I will probably use this for more than just Valentine's Day cards, but it's really cute. And it also comes with the coordinating dies, which I got as well, and you can see they've introduced this new little bit at the bottom, which means that it cuts in between the tentacles, and you can put the heart in between the tentacles, or birthday present, or you could adapt it for lots of things, but I thought it was really cute, so I had to get that. And I also got the new Valentine's borders as well, which includes this little scalloped edge with holes along the edge. It also comes with a heart border and an arrow border as well. So I'm going to be using a mixture of these in today's card. I'm going to be starting today with a piece of watercolour card. This is Canson 300 GSM, which I think is £140 cardstock. Some archival jet black ink, and I'm going to be using this to stamp my images, and I'm going to be doing some watercolouring today. So I'm just going to put two of the little octopus together and cleaning my stamps off with my new Lawn Fawn chamois, which came in my Simon Says stamp set, so stamp kit for the month. So I'm just trying this out, and I'm going to place some of the little hearts coming out from between them. I use one of the big hearts, and then I use three small hearts just to make it look a bit nicer. And then I'm using an old heart die that I've had for a long time that I don't really use anymore, and I'm just using this to create an outline of a heart. I'm going to be watercolouring everything inside the heart. So to keep this watercolour inside the heart, I'm using my Molotow masking pen. Now, I do use other masking liquids, but this one's really easy for outlining things like this. You can get a really nice edge. I don't often use this, but I've kind of rekindled my love for it now. I've used it again for the first time in a while, so I'll probably be using this some more again soon. So I'm putting first a thin edge around, and then I'll just put a thicker amount just to make sure that I don't go over that line. Now for the watercolours today, I have just got some Dr. P.H. Martin's concentrated watercolours that come in these gorgeous little bottles with a dropper. And these are really strong pigmented watercolours. So what I've done is I've been experimenting with these off camera because I got these for Christmas, and I've put some drops in a palette already, and I'm just going to use what I've already put in the palette, and although it's dry, it will just reactivate with water. So here you can see that I've already been kind of playing around with other bits and pieces, and I'm going to use these today. Now, I'm not going to say all the colours that I used on this video because I used a lot, but I will put a link to my blog below that will have more pictures of the cards, and it will have a full description of all the supplies that I've used today with links as to where you can buy the products from. So I'll include that in the description box, and you can find a list of all the colours that I've used today throughout the blog. So I'm just putting a wash down first of a mixture of blues and greens, and this is just going to be the base for today's image, and I just wanted that to kind of come through on all the images. So although I'll be colouring the octopus bright colours, it'll still have that undertone of blue like they're swimming in the water. So once I've put down that initial wash of bluey green, and then using a stronger blue, which is I think ultra blue, just to add a bit more blue onto that turquoisey aqua background, and I'll just keep building up these layers. I do use my heat gun in between the layers just to help the drying process. I was a little bit worried at first that it might interfere with the masking liquid, but I actually found that it didn't. it didn't interfere with it. Sometimes it can melt the masking fluid and it can actually tear your paper when you try and lift it, but I found with this one, as long as I didn't heat it too much, it was absolutely fine. So I'd just say just experiment if you want to use heat guns with masking fluid. But yeah, for this one, the Molotow masking fluid seemed to work really well. So as you can see, I'm just building up the layers in the background before I move on to the characters and the hearts. And I'm keeping the colour scheme fairly simple for the whole card. I'm going to keep it generally blues and then just make the octopus stand with some bright colours. And I should say for the background I am using a size 10 brush, and it's just a watercolour brush. And then I will use a size 3 brush when I move on to the smaller details. So as you can see, I also heat from the back as well so that it doesn't reactivate that masking fluid or melt it too much. So now I'm going to move on to colouring the octopus, and for these I create a purple, and then for the other one I make a kind of orangey red, and I will be going over these once I've finished with the watercolours with some Prismacolor pencils, just to make them stand out a little bit more. So as you can see, although I've put a really bright colour onto this octopus, because I've got that blue undertone, it doesn't quite look as fluorescent as it would if I'd put that onto white paper. So it just helps it kind of blend in with the rest of the scene a bit better. And it's something that I've recently started to kind of play around with when experimenting with watercolours, but it just helps it tie in and make it not quite as, they're still bright, but they don't have the same brightness as if they were on straight white card. I do love these watercolour paints. This is the first time I've properly kind of created something with them, and I know I'll be using them a lot more. I need to experiment and get used to them a bit more because they are different to other watercolours, and they are very bright, so I need to work out my water levels and things, but I'm looking forward to experimenting and creating more cards with these, so definitely recommend giving them a go if you like watercolours. Now to remove the masking fluid, all I do is make sure that my background where I've done the painting is completely dry, and then I use my finger to rub most of it away. But if there are bits that aren't coming up with my finger, I just use an eraser to pull up that last little bit, and then once it's done it looks like a nice clean heart. So once I've removed the masking fluid, I'm then just going to flick some droplets of the colour that I used for the initial base, so that bluey green that I mixed. I'm just flicking some splatters across and then quickly drying that with my heat tool. Once I've done this, I'm then going to move on to adding some more shading and definition to the octopus with my Prismacolor pencils. I don't use these as much as I probably should do, so I'm trying to again use what I've got with some of my new bits. So adding Prismacolor pencils or any kind of pencils really on top of watercolour is another way to add some more definition and colouring, and because they are kind of semi-transparent, you can still see a lot of the watercolour underneath, so I'm not going over everything. I'm just the bits where I want some highlights of light colour or the shadows of the darker colour, I'm just adding the pencil into those areas, so you can still see the watercolour underneath. And I'm sorry you can kind of see my head getting in the way in the corner. I have a new camera set up and I'm getting used to the positioning of where everything is, and the light was shining onto the page, so I was trying to see where everything was being coloured, and unfortunately my head got in the way. One of the things I love about this set is it's really versatile, so although it's used for Valentine's Day, you can combine it with the other Lawn Fawn ocean sets, so they do a lot of ocean critters, so it worked really well with the I think it's called Fantastic Friends set, and then there's another one with crabs and lighthouses and oceans and whales. So it's all fit really well together if you wanted to make a card with an ocean scene with fish and the varying sea creatures. So it's really good that they can kind of create these stamp sets that you can then mix and match with other ones. And you could use them with other brands as well that create ocean critters. So once I've then done that, some of my lines didn't stamp very clear when I used my stamp block earlier, because it's watercolour cardstock. It doesn't always stamp a perfect image, which is why I tend to use the MISTI a lot. So I've just gone round those images with a Pigma Micron marker, which is the same archival ink as the ink that I stamped the images with. And then I just used my Jelly Roll pen to add some dots and details onto the octopus. When I've finished doing all the details on the images, I'm then going to cut the card down to fit an A6 note card size. So I'm just trimming this down using my Fiskars paper trimmer, and then I'm ready to start putting the card together. So I'm going to use some blue cardstock for the sentiment, and I'm using the Valentine's border with the scalloped edge and the holes so that I can create a banner for the bottom. And I'm going to put the sentiment "You Octopi My Heart" along this, and I'm going to emboss it with some Paper Mania's gold embossing powder, and I'll use some Ranger's Perfect Medium embossing ink so that embossing powder sticks well to the card. I also just want to let you know that this blue cardstock is generic cardstock from my local craft store, and it's a really good quality cardstock, which is one that I love using. So it's just something that I had in my stash already that I'm using up. So once I've got my sentiment ready, I'm then going to use my heat tool to melt the embossing powder to give us that lovely golden shine. And then I'm going to adhere it to my card base with some double-sided sticky tape. And again, I'm not sure what the brand is for this. I've had it quite some time, so I'm just using what I have. And then I will trim the edges so that it fits nice and snug on that card base. Once I've done that, I'm then going to adhere the panel down to my card base with some Scotch 3mm foam tape before I then start adding the finishing touches to the card. To add a final bit of dimension and extra shine, I'm just going to use some Pretty Pink Posh water droplets. These are similar to sequins, but they're dimensional and they literally look like water droplets on a page. I love using these, so it fits with the whole water ocean theme. So I'm just using some multi-matte medium to adhere these down, and that finishes the card for today. I hope you like what I've done with the new Lawn Fawn release, and please do check out my blog and my other videos. Please subscribe to my channel if you like what you see. Please give me a like if you enjoyed the video, and leave me a comment to let me know what you think. I'd also like to know if you do craft videos or have blogs. Leave me a link in the comments and I'll go check them out. But that's it for today. I'll be back next week with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.